Hafiz Marzukhi joins us now at the touchscreen, and we know that with polls open for just a few hours, anticipation is building around the trajectories of both candidates vying for the White House. So Hafiz, what key factors do you think will determine the outcome of this election?
Yes, one of it, Cynthia, is definitely voter turnout. Because if you were to look at both these candidates, Kamala Harris as well as Donald Trump, they seem to have structured their campaign into asking or encouraging their voters to come out and vote. And that's the key message or the central message that they have communicated in their campaign. Other than the voter turnout, is of course, because you mentioned earlier that this is expected to be a tight race. So it is important that every vote matters. And there's a large section of undecided voters that have not shown leanings, whether either to Democrat or Republican. And it seems that this are the important factors that would determine the race. And of course, tonight we're going to take a look at the pathways to the White House, the pathway to 270. And we'll start with the red corner, the Republican candidate, Donald Trump, former president. And let's take a look at what he needs to do in order to win entry into the White House. Of course, the key number, the magic number, is 270 Electoral College votes. And if you were to look here, the 25 states that we have listed down here are what we call typically or historically red states, or states that usually tend to lean to the Republican candidate. And if we were to total all the Electoral College votes over here, we'll get about 190 electoral votes. Not enough to make it to the White House. Let's take a look. And this is where the battle can be won or lost for Trump. And when the four states that we have listed down here, of course, tend to lean to Republican as of this current moment. It's not really a prediction, but this is what most likely to happen if Trump were to take White House. Of course, we have Arizona, Wisconsin, Nevada, and Iowa. And if you were to remember, in 2016, Trump won Arizona and Wisconsin. However, in 2020, Biden flipped it over to the blue side. So it is critical in order for Trump to win the White House. And of course, over here is where, Cynthia, you've mentioned it just now, Pennsylvania is one of the key battleground states that Trump has to win if he wants any chance of getting into the White House. And of course, Michigan, where our colleague Fei Kwan is currently at. And if you were to total all this, does it mean that he makes it to 270? Not really. He only make it to 257. So he still needs to flip some other blue states here, either Virginia or probably a combination of Minnesota and New Hampshire to make it all the way to 270. So it's quite a complicated route for Donald Trump to the White House.
All right, so that's Trump. Let's take a look at Kamala Harris, right? Does it seem that she may have a more straightforward path to the White House, or is it more complicated than that?
Well, it's always more complicated than that, Cynthia. Let's take a look at Kamala Harris's path to the White House. Again, similar concept. If we were to look at states that typically lean blue, of course, there's only 17 that we've listed here, but it returned higher Electoral College votes, which means that it is not necessarily important to the number of states that one candidate win. What is important is the total electoral votes. And if we were to look further into the must-win swing states, if you look over here, this state tend to lean to Democrat, another 24 electoral votes, Minnesota, Virginia, and Maine's 2nd Congressional District. And this, again, the crucial toss-up states that Kamala Harris needs to win in order to be in the White House. Of course, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, New Hampshire, and Arizona. And if we were to remember, if we were to look back in 2016, when Trump first got into the White House, he won Wisconsin, Michigan, and Arizona. And Biden flipped it in 2020, when both Kamala Harris actually is on the ticket. Also in 2020, they flipped Wisconsin, Michigan, and Arizona. Important states for Kamala Harris to win in order to gain entry into the White House. Does it mean with 46 and 24, is it, game over for Trump? Not really, because it is only 268 votes. Still 2 votes short from 270. So she still has to win again, Pennsylvania, 19 Electoral College votes, or Georgia in order to be the tipping point to get her into the White House. So that's pretty much the pathways. It's not really a prediction. You can see these are all the scenarios that could happen later today.
Well, while it's not prediction, as all pollsters have mentioned, it could be the tightest race ever in the U.S. presidential elections. Thank you so much, Hafiz, for an overview of the key battleground states as well as swing states, very, very important states in the U.S. elections.